Alright, so this is going to be a long-term review of the DJI Osmo Action 4. I've been using this camera for about 6 months now, if not more. And I do want to preface this video by saying I did buy this with my own money. This is not sponsored in any way. I've not received anything from DJI. So this is going to be a full and honest review of this camera right here, covering both the good and the bad. And at the end of this video, I will go over whether or not I have any regrets going with this camera over the other competitors on the market. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so starting off with image quality. Now on paper, this camera technically does appear to have the lowest specs of all the action cameras of its generation on the market, capping out at 4K 120 frames per second. Now on paper, that may seem like the lowest image quality, but as far as my eyes are concerned, I really can't see anything past 4K anyway. Honestly, I think 4K is more than enough. And plus, I don't really have any screens that go past 4K. Some of you out there might have like a Mac display screen or something that has 5K, where you might be able to squeeze the tiny bit of extra resolution coming out of the GoPro. Or maybe you even have an 8K screen where you can really see in full detail the 8K video coming out of the Ace Pro or maybe even the X4. But personally, I can't really even tell the difference between a good 1080 video and 4K, so the idea of going past 4K to me just seems unnecessary. And like I said, I don't have any screens, and I don't think most people do that go past 4K. Now hey, that could change in the future, but not something that I'm worried about. As for the 120 frames per second, I was a little bit more worried about that because I do a lot of action sports, very fast paced. I do want to get those slow motion shots. And in my experience, actually, the 120 frames per second is more than enough. When it comes to getting that slow motion. I'm able to do the 5x slow-mo, still have it be at 24 frames per second, get that smooth playback. And even doing fast-paced action sports, that 4K 120 frames per second has always been plenty slow enough. I'm able to slow it down, get what I need. And honestly, I actually mostly shoot in 4K 60. So even that 120 is usually a bit more than I need. And if I do need to shoot at 240, this does do, I'm pretty sure it's 1440p or 2.7K at 240 frames per second. So if I do need that really slow motion shot, I am technically able to get it. But currently, I haven't even actually tried that function yet because 120 frames per second in 4K has been more than enough for me, and I've been more than pleased with the slow motion coming out of that. Now, if you do have specific needs where you do need to be shooting in higher resolutions at higher frame rates, 4K plus whatever at 240 frames per second, going with the competitors on the market like the Ace Pro or the GoPro or something like that might be a better option. But even with me doing fast-paced action sports, the 120 frames per second 4K has been usually more than enough. So as far as the image quality, those specs definitely don't hurt the image quality. And just looking at the image results on the screen, you can see that the image quality coming out of this is pretty dang good, if not phenomenal. And that is actually attributable more to the larger sensor. So the DJI Action 4 actually has a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which my math brain kind of goes off, like that's weird to do a fraction with a decimal. Anyway, it's a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is getting closer and closer to having like a 1 inch sensor like you would see in the Pocket 3 or something like that. But this 1/1.3 inch sensor is much larger than the 1/1.7 inch sensor that we see in the Osmo Action 3. And it is much larger still than the 1/1.9 inch sensor, basically almost half-inch sensor that we see in the GoPro Hero 12. So as far as the sensor size, this is the biggest sensor you can get currently in an action camera. We'll see if that changes with this next generation, but currently that's still the case. And it matches the sensor size on the Ace Pro. Now that bigger sensor size does usually give you better image quality. Having those larger pixels gets you more information, more color information, gets you better color results, more accurate image details, all that sort of stuff. And it also does give you better low light performance because those bigger pixels able to capture more light, better low light performance. Now I will say when it comes to the low light performance, while the low light performance on the DJI 4 is great compared to most action cameras and pretty much actually any action camera that came before it, it is not as good as the Ace Pro. So if you're looking for something specifically for really, really low light scenarios, like you're going in a cave or something, yeah, the Ace Pro is going to do better in like nighttime, really low light scenario type settings. But the DJI Osmo Action 4 also does really well in lower light settings, does great, phenomenal performance. Like I said, not quite as good as the Ace Pro, so if you really need that low light level performance, Ace Pro is a good way to go. But in my experience, when I'm doing action sports, I'm always in a well-lit environment, whether I'm snowboarding or skating or tricking. I'm definitely going to be somewhere that's well lit. So needing that low light performance, just not something I need in an action camera personally. Now if you're looking for like a vlog camera or something, that might be great. But yeah, personally, covers the low light more than I need. And actually what I've been doing is using ND filters to get better motion blur when I'm shooting in highlight environments, bright environments, I should say, like when I'm out snowboarding and stuff, or even at the skate park. I'll be using an ND filter to block some of the light so I can get basically better motion blur and have a lower shutter speed. But yeah, getting off into the woods here a little bit. That larger sensor size really does deliver that really good image quality and those larger pixels, especially because this is a 12 megapixel camera, so you're really getting the maximum benefit of those larger pixels. Pretty much 12 megapixels is pretty close to 4K, which would be, if I'm not mistaken, 8 megapixels. But yeah, basically what that means is each pixel in the sensor is being fully used in a 1-to-1 ratio to create that 4K image, just giving you maximum color information and light information for each pixel. And that's basically something like you'd see in a really high-level video-oriented Sony camera or something like that, where you're really maximizing the benefit of each pixel. So yeah, I really do like that, and I do really like the cinematic, I would call it, the more cinematic look that you're getting out of this camera. The image coming out of this really does look phenomenal. So while in some regards the resolution specs, the frame rate specs might look a little lower, having that larger sensor, bigger pixels, all that really does contribute to what I consider to be a much richer image, just a much better, more accurate, detailed image that looks less digital, that sort of thing, and in my opinion, looks phenomenal. So I'm really happy with the image quality coming out of this. I do think in well-lit scenarios, this is the best image quality that you can get from an action camera, in my personal opinion, with that larger sensor, those larger pixels, and the color science, which I'm about to cover in a second. I really do think this is the best image quality you can get in a well-lit environment out of an action camera in the modern day. Not counting something like, the Pocket 3 or something, which I don't really consider an action camera. But anyway, phenomenal image quality coming out of this. And as far as the color science right out of the camera, in my opinion, is one of the best on the market. I really don't like that oversaturated kind of more warm look of the GoPro. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but I do prefer the more accurate to life image quality coming out of this, or the more accurate to life color science coming out of this, I should say. In my opinion, even just the auto settings look phenomenal. The color science is great. I think it looks really good. But you don't have to stick with the auto settings because this camera does have D-Log, so you can get that really flat color profile, great for color grading. And in my opinion, when it comes to all the action cameras on the market now that offer a flat color profile, like the G-Log from GoPro, or D-Log in this camera, and I'm not sure if the Ace Pro does have a flat profile or not. I think it might not, but in my opinion, from what I've seen, looking at comparisons online, the D-Log footage is the most flat and basically flexible color profile, so you're able to get the most flexibility when you're working in Resolve or whatever program you're using to edit your colors and do your color grading. You're able to get really phenomenal and flexible color grading out of the D-Log footage coming out of this. And I'm not anything close to an expert color grader myself, but just messing around on there, just using a couple nodes, I'm able to get really good results out of this with almost no knowledge of color grading, and it looks just, to my eyes, phenomenal. So as far as the image quality goes, I still think, after using this camera this long, that this is, in many scenarios, the best image quality you can get on an action camera in this generation. Now, in low light scenarios, I will give it to the Ace Pro, but when I'm getting an action camera, like I said, that's just not what I'm using the action camera for. Alright, now getting into the audio quality, or the microphone quality coming out of this thing. The audio coming straight out of the mic built into this is phenomenal. Honestly, this is probably the best built-in mic I've seen on a camera, and just from the comparisons I've seen online, it does appear to be the best mic you can get in a camera. I do think the Ace Pro is pretty much on par with this. But like I said, just phenomenal microphone quality. Just walking right now. Honestly, just looking at the camera, it looks pretty good. No complaints, and if you do need something a little bit better, lav mic or something, you can get the DJI mic too, or connect the lav mic super easily with this, and it works really well. Haven't actually done that myself yet, but from what I've seen, you know, definitely easy to do, good quality. Oh, and not only is the microphone quality phenomenal, but you also get that wind reduction, which helps get out any noise that you don't want in the camera, wind usually, or any other sounds, and actually does a phenomenal job. So like I said, just no complaints in the microphone department, 10 out of 10. Not bad at all. Very impressive. Alright, now when it comes to stabilization, pretty much in my opinion, all the action cameras on the market today have phenomenal stabilization. I don't think any of them have any are missing any points in this regard. I think you can pretty much pick up any one of these action cameras, the GoPro, the Ace Pro, this one, and you'll get pretty much indistinguishable, really good stabilization using, in this case, the Rocksteady or, you know, the GoPro and Ace Pro versions of their stabilization. They all look phenomenal. So I don't think the stabilization, I think it's been phenomenal for generations now. I don't think there's any complaints there or anything really to be done there, in my opinion. I think that's kind of maxed out. Now, there is Rocksteady Plus and Rocksteady on here, and these newer cameras now do also have horizon balance. So you can spin the camera all the way around like this, and the shot will stay upright. The horizon won't change. Now, in this camera, on the DJI Osmo Action 4, you actually only get full 360 horizon balance when you're shooting in 2.7K. So if you want to be getting that full, all the way around horizon lock, you need to be shooting at 1440p. You can't do it in 4K on this camera. You can do horizon balancing onto basically 45 degrees off in each direction, but you're not able to get that full horizon lock, like if you were to spin it upside down and have it stay the same. You're not able to get that in 4K. You're only able to get that in 2.7K. Now, the other cameras do offer the horizon lock 360 degree at higher resolution. So again, if that's something that you really need in a camera, you plan to be spinning this around a lot, more than 45 degrees, and you want the shots to be in 4K, then would recommend going with something else. But in my opinion, personally, again, or in my use case, I should say, I have not had any trouble with the horizon lock. I guess when I'm snowboarding, actually, I have had it where I'm snowboarding and I twist the thing a little bit farther than I want. It gets a little bit jerky, a little bit wonky. So yeah, I would love to see, I would consider this another negative, basically. I would love to see, along with the higher frame rate, which, like I said, I didn't really complain about, but I would love to see 240 frames per second in 4K. That's another thing that I would love to see in the camera. In this case, I would really love to see DJI implement that 4K horizon lock 360 degree mode, so we could have that horizon lock all the way around in 4K. This is one complaint I have with the camera, along with not being able to shoot at higher frame rates in 4K, which I didn't really complain about. But if there was another thing that I could fix about the camera along with the horizon lock, it would be higher frame rates. Maybe I wouldn't even use them, but I just want to have them just in case. And same thing with the horizon lock. You know, I don't really shoot horizon lock that much. The reason actually isn't because I can't shoot in 4K. I stopped shooting that because it crops in a bit more, and when I'm out snowboarding, I'm using a selfie stick, so having the widest field of view possible is really crucial out there. But other than that, yeah, I would love to see 4K horizon locking on this camera. Another thing, small complaint of mine. Alright, now enough talking about the stabilization, time to get into the durability. And when it comes to the durability of this camera, I do think that this is probably the most durable action camera on the market now. I mean, I feel like I could show you some clips. I have had some falls with this thing, you know what I mean? I have really gone down. At one point, I got kind of buried or something, and the camera got buried too, and was buried for like not too long, maybe like 30 seconds or so. But yeah, nothing wrong with it. Taken plenty of spills, eaten plenty of dirt with this thing, and have had honestly not even really a scratch on it. Like, it still looks new out the box. Even the touch screen, the lens, honestly everything still looks great on it. So Definitely durable, and actually this durability is one of the major draws for me. So when I'm out there, I want a camera that I can like fall with and have like bounce off the ground, and I pick it up and it's fine. You know, I don't want something with let's say, I don't know, a flip screen that's gonna snap right off the second I go and take a spill, right? Because I'm gonna be taking some spills with this thing. So when I have an action camera, I want it to be built like a rock, and this thing in my hand feels like a rock. Like if I threw this at somebody, it would really hurt. Like it's don't do that, because these things are heavy and hard and durable and literally feels like a stone in your hand. Well balanced and everything, just absolutely probably the strongest action camera on the market. So durability, again, 10 out of 10, no complaints. Now one other thing I wanted to cover, here, let me actually grab this real quick. Okay, here we go. The magnetic mount. Everyone's talking about this, right? The magnetic mount. I don't know if they are. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I watch a lot of videos. But anyway, the magnetic mount, I thought they literally meant like it was a magnetic mount. Like, oh, that's the magnet holding it. No, it's just a clip-on mount. There we go. It's a clip-on mount, and the magnet just guides and aligns the clips. So if you watch a lot of videos about this camera, I'm sure you know that already. But in the first early days of this camera and the Action 4, or the Action 3 actually, did not see a lot of info on that. So it's not actually a magnet that just magnetically holds the thing in place. There are clips. I don't know if you can see them there. Tiny little clips in there, and they lock right in, and you could see when it's locked in, and you could really put some weight on this and it's not going anywhere. It's totally secure. So yeah, these mounts are not any less secure than these twist mounts, you know what I mean? But I don't even want to take the whole thing off because it's going to take forever. They're a whole lot faster, right? So it's not really a magnetic mount. It's more like a clip-on mount with a magnet that makes sure you don't put it on backwards or something, because if you put it backwards, it won't go in. You put it the right way, the magnet guides it right into place. You hear the click, click, and it's good to go. So that magnetic mount, a little bit misleading with the name there, but 10 out of 10 with that mount system, honestly. Really ingenuitive, really easy, clever stuff. Works well, haven't had a problem with it. Using it on my helmet, on the selfie stick, whatever I'm doing with it, no problem with the clip-on mount, and it has been phenomenal and easy to use and easy to move around, and I love it. So yeah, really happy with the mount system on that. I was a little bit confused at first, thinking it was literally just a magnetic mount. Now I know better, and I'm very happy with it. So now to answer the question, do I have any regrets going with this camera over the other competitors on the market? The answer, simply put, is no. I'm very happy with the results that I get from the Action 4. It's rock solid and delivers what I still consider to be the best image quality that you can get from an action camera, at least as of recording this video. Especially when you consider that 10-bit D-Log. As far as I can tell, this is still the best option for somebody looking for a real action camera in 2024. A camera that is both the most durable and delivers the most accurate image quality with remarkable stabilization and cinema-grade color science. Well, that's about it for the review on this DJI Osmo Action 4. If you'd like to pick one up for yourself, you can find links in the description below to both the Osmo Action 4 itself and the Adventure Combo Pack, which also includes the selfie stick, charging pack, and some extra batteries. And using those links does support the channel at no added cost to you, so if you do decide to make a purchase using the links provided below, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and take care, everyone.